Welcome, my darlings, back to another episode of my podcast. I'm just very excited to be back because I love being here and it just brings me so much joy. So I thought, why not come back? Why not come back? And I'm going to keep coming back. Now, today, I'm going to talk about fail. I can't even say it. Failure. Going to talk about. I'm going to talk about failure. Going to talk about failure. Oh my god, that was really weird. So, I really feel passionate about this, word. So I had actually a kind of a bit of a light bulb moment myself recently, where I was just doing some journaling like you do, and like casually, but I obviously, it's a big tool of mine, so I use it all the time. So, and I've also got notes on my phone so I don't forget what I want to say, because I've got so much to say. So I had a bit of a light bulb moment because basically I was doing some journaling and a kind of a limiting belief came up for me that I can't be successful at things, I get to a certain point, I get really close, but I can never quite get there. And it really I got really emotional about it, actually, because then when I actually thought about it, I said to myself, but Ames, you've been so successful at so many things. And I listed all the things I've been successful with. So I listed getting my own house, having my daughter Alyssa, getting a job, going to uni, starting this podcast. There's been so many things that I've been successful at. So, and then it really got me thinking when I had that limiting belief, and I kind of realized that actually that's just the limit that I'm putting on myself. And if I tell myself that I'm never going to get there, I'm never going to get there. And that's why that's why I'm talking about what I'm talking about today. And today's podcast is about failure. I really can't say that word, and that's awful, isn't it? Failure. God. Because I read this quote. Well, actually, I listened to this quote. Which really is strange because it was completely separate. So I had obviously my light bulb moment, and then I listened to this quote and I was like, oh, that's what I've got to talk about in today's podcast episode. But the quote was by Thomas Edison, and it's, I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways it won't work. And that, when you listen to something, you're like, oh my goodness, that quote, literally, yes. So that's why I'm taking the word failure. Oh my god, failure out of my vocabulary, because by just having it in my vocabulary, I am limiting myself. And I'm a big believer in that you only fail at something if you stop at something. You only fail at it if you stop and you give up. And that's kind of, I guess, why I love that quote, because it was like, I'm not failing at any of these things, all these goals and that I have that I want to achieve. I'm not failing at them at all. I'm just haven't got there yet, but I'm going to find lots of different ways until I get there. So, and to me, I'm trying to really think of that everything is a lesson. If you think, when you're on that path to whatever you want to do, and we've removed the word fail, oh, bloody hell, we've removed the word failure out of failure. Oh my God. How can I do a podcast if I can't even say the word? Right. If we've taken the word fail out of our vocabulary, okay, and we're on this path, and we might have to go down a lot of different paths. We might have to go down a path that doesn't work. We might have to come back up the path and go down another path. But along the way, the most exciting bit is if you have that belief, right, that you can't fail at something, that you are going to get, you've taken that word out of the vocabulary, you are going to get there, you're trying all these different paths. If you look at it that way, it's exciting because you get to like look at all these obstacles, all these bumps in the road, like all these blocks that you're having to go over as a lesson. These are all your lessons. They're all bits of the journey to get you closer there. So I'm also like a big believer in everything is a lesson. Like everything is either a lesson or a blessing. So that's why I take that word fail out of my vocabulary and I look at it as I'm not failing, I'm learning. I'm not failing at something, I'm learning. And I just love that. And it is hard sometimes because, you know, you might be being quite relentless, you might be trying and trying and trying and trying and trying. But if you are trying and trying and trying, you know what you want to do, you are going to get there. It's just, and you're not going to fail because the only time you will fail is if you stop. So yeah, I'm such a believer in everything's a lesson, and it's about enjoying the process. Like enjoy it. Like actually, if you think about it, when you get your goal and your dream and your desire, whatever it may be, that's a great feeling. But actually, the journey to that is just as good. Like all these little highs that you get along the way, and sometimes you can get highs from your lessons. Like you know, you might come across, you might be working towards something and like a big obstacle comes in the way, and initially you're like, crikey, like this is not what I want to happen, why is this doing this? But actually you think there's a reason why it's done this, like there's a reason why it's happened like this. I'm going to see it as like exciting. I love that. So it's about reframing your reframing your mindset to think that you can't that all the journey, the blocks, the little moments along the way where you hit those walls, reframing that as it's exciting, I'm learning from this. And just take that, I know I keep saying it, but take that word fail out of your vocabulary, because you're not failing. The only time, like I said, I keep saying the same thing, but the only time you will fail is if you give up or you stop it. But if you are enjoy it, the process, enjoy those lessons, be excited to find those lessons. That's what I get a bit of a buzz about. I'm like, okay, I'm excited to find what the next lesson is, because every time I have a lesson, it's going to get me closer to where I want to be. And I think also about like the kind of reframe is if we focus on failure, if we focus on failure, it will hold us back, because that's what we're focusing on. That's what we're putting our energy. We're putting our energy into, I'm not gonna do this. So I'm gonna fail at this. Like I can't do this. And that is where you're focusing your energy on. And if you focus your energy on that there, yeah, you're not gonna get it. You're not. So it's like, let's focus on the end goal, the process. Focus on the process. Focus on those lessons. Focus on where you want to be, and just imagine that. Well, it's not there. You're not going to fail because you're not giving up. So yeah, reframe your mindset. Remove the failure from your vocabulary and stop focusing on it, because it's going to hold you back. It will hold you back when you focus. If you're focusing, it's kind of like if you're focusing on failing, you're not going to go and try. You're not going to take up an opportunity. You're not going to try something different. You're not going to go down that different path. You're not going to send that email. You're not going to have that conversation because your fear is blocking you. You've got your fear goggles on. I mean, I'm not saying that if you took failure away, you're not going to be scared of doing these things. Of course you are. But like, you are coming from it from a different angle. You're coming from it from like, I can't wait to do this. Like, I can't wait to, I'm getting there. I can't wait to have this lesson. I can't wait to try this challenge. And you will take, I think naturally you will take up like more challenges and take yourself out your comfort zone more, because you're just so, you've got that self-belief. You're not even thinking about failing. You've taken it out of your vocabulary. You've reframed your mindset to focus on the end goal. So you will then naturally want to go for those challenges and naturally want to push yourself out your comfort zone. So yeah, it gets me really excited when you talk about it. And I know it's probably like really easy for me to say. And I'm not also saying that I'm an expert either. Like, obviously I had my light bulb moment where I'm still having to work on things. But I think once you are aware of what your limiting beliefs are, and so I was aware that I had that limiting belief that I can never be successful, like I can never quite get there. Like, I get close, but I can't quite get there. And because I'm aware of that now, I am now aware of when I start to go into that mindset of, you do know you're not going to quite get there. And then I go, no, I am. And it is kind of sometimes like I have these conversations with myself, and I did it in the car yesterday actually, because now I'm aware of, I guess, me thinking I'm going to fail. I'm aware of me thinking that I'm going to fail because I can't, I get close, but I can't quite do it. I'm now like so aware of me thinking in that way that when I start thinking in that way, I'm like, no, I had a conversation with myself in the car. I was like, Aim, snap out of that, because you are going to get there. You are, because you're not going to give up. You're not going to give up. You're going to try everything. You're going to go down that path. You might have to go down the same path again, but you'll be going down the same path again with a different set of goggles on because you've learnt your lesson. So yeah, it is exciting. And also, my last thing I wanted to say about was, if you take the word fail or failure out of your vocabulary and have this question, like this question is something I use to myself as like a kind of journal prompt, but for my mind, as in like not writing, but like to think, is not what don't focus on what not what you sorry do not focus on what you've got to lose. Focus on what you've got to gain. Do that switch. And when you do that switch, when you stop focusing on all those things, well, if I do that, that could happen, and if I do that, like, I could lose that, and I might annoy that person, or they might think that, or whatever. Don't focus on those things. Focus on everything that you've got to gain. The income, the house, the relationship, like whatever it is. Because I'm not even just talking like, I guess, career based. I'm talking, it could be a relationship. Like, you could be looking for the love of your life, and you could be thinking, but I'm never going to get somebody because I never do. But if you think like that, you're never going to get somebody. Whereas if you take failure out of it and just focus on what you've got to gain, all that love that you've got coming your way, and focus on the person that you want to attract, not what you've got to lose. Like, by going on that date, you could get stitched up, you could, like, they might ghost you or whatever, but those are lessons and blessings. Trust me, they are blessings. If you're dating, those are blessings. If they've ghosted you, that's a blessing. That is a blessing, because you don't want somebody who's going to do that. And trust me, that took me a long time to think of that, but like, learn that lesson and that blessing. You don't want someone like that. But all those little bits are you're going in the right direction. You're going in the right direction, my darling. You're going in the right direction. So yeah, this has been a bit of a random podcast, but I feel really passionate about it. So going forward, I really want you to try really hard, and it is going to take you time. But if you can kind of it's like catching yourself doing it. So when you catch yourself thinking, I'm not going to be able to do this, I'm going to fail at it, just think, hang on, no, I'm taking that word out. I'm not even using that word. That word isn't even coming into my vocab, because you can't fail at something unless you give up and you stop doing it. And none of us are going to stop doing it. We're all going to keep going. So this is a really exciting point. I feel like, for me, even though I've obviously been speaking about all these things that I've learned about, and like all the things that I kind of try and do myself, it's kind of like a little this has been kind of like a little reminder for me, and I'm so excited. Like, I'm really excited. I've got such a good fire in my belly now after just doing this podcast episode, because it's reminded me I can do it. I'm not, my darling, I'm not failing at it. That word, I'm not even thinking of that word. That word isn't even coming into my mouth. I'm enjoying the process, and I'm embracing all the lessons and the blessings. So I hope this has been a helpful podcast. I hope you've got something from it. Let me know your thoughts. I had really good feedback from my last episode, so that's just melts my heart. So yeah, let me know what you think about today, how you're feeling now, what you're going to do going forward, because you're getting there. You are going to get there. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for your support as always. Do not forget to subscribe to my podcast on whichever platform you listen to your podcasts on. You can find me over at Amy Victoria Panther on Instagram as well. I think that's about it, really. But yeah, I can't wait to be back next week. I'm going to record another one before I go away on holiday, which is very exciting. But yeah, I'm just loving this all, and it's my happy place. It's my happy place. Anyway, take care, my darlings. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you again next week for another episode. Bye.